Hi everyone, this is Professor Leon, and this video explains common issues with body paragraphs and how to correct them. There are three types of body paragraph problems: development, structural, and support, and I will be talking about all three today. The first type of development problem is no explanation of the evidence. What I mean by evidence is examples, quotes, or any other data that a writer incorporates in a body paragraph. And this usually comes after the topic sentence. So in this case, we do have a topic sentence, and then we have a quote. But what happens is that there is a concluding sentence tacked on after the quote, and the quote is not really explained. This is very common in the first draft. The student hasn't really developed ideas very well. So what we want to do is we want to work on developing the paragraph. So this would be a fully developed version of the paragraph to the left, whereby the student would have a topic sentence, the student has the quote, and then after the quote, the student has an explanation of that quote. And there could be another quote, but there should also be an explanation of that quote as well. So the idea here is to take one's time to explain each piece of evidence, whether it's a quote, whether it's a specific example. You can use an example to explain a quote too, such as in this sentence right here. The next developmental problem is too much evidence. This is when the student thinks that quantity is better than quality in a paragraph. We can see here in this example, there's one quote, followed by another quote, followed by another quote, and then the concluding sentence. These quotes aren't really explained. There's no real purpose to them other than being dumped into the paragraph and not really fully explained. So what we want to do is, again, like I mentioned before, is to identify what the quotes are here in the paragraph and make sure that you fully explain them. And we don't want to have too many quotes. We just want to have enough to support the paragraph. Again, quality is better than quantity. The third type of developmental problem in a paragraph is evidence that's too long. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, in this paragraph, we have this very, very long quote, followed by this very, very short explanation. It should be the other way around. The paragraph should be 25% quotes, 75% the writer's own explanation of that quote and how that quote supports the topic sentence. So what we want to do is leave room for us to explain what these quotes mean. So in this example, we leave room to explain each quote. We don't want the authors of our sources to speak for us. We want to speak for them. And we want to look at evidence as something that would enhance our own writing. Our own writing has to dominate the essay. The next type of problem is structural problems in body paragraphs. And that's usually when there's no topic sentence. And usually when there's no topic sentence, the writer begins with a quote or a statistic or a piece of very, very detailed data that really does not explain the goal or the purpose of the paragraph. And every paragraph needs to have a topic sentence, which is the main idea that always leads back to the thesis. So what we have here are many quotes, but we don't really know the purpose of this paragraph. And again, the topic sentence has to highlight what the main purpose of the paragraph is. Otherwise, the paragraph doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't lead back to the thesis. Followed by the topic sentence would be then our evidence. Third type of problem are disorganized ideas within the paragraph. And this usually happens when writers are in their first drafts and they're putting paragraphs together. They haven't yet organized the ideas. In the left paragraph, we see that the paragraph is disorganized, and this is a dead giveaway with the word they. What we always want to do is refer to who or what we are writing about at the beginning of the paragraph, even if we mentioned that person, place, or thing in the previous paragraph. In this case, the topic sentence is in the middle of the paragraph, and that's incorrect. The topic sentence should always be at the beginning of the paragraph here on the right-hand side, followed by any types of support that we see here. So what we want to do is make sure that we organize the paragraph in a top-down organizational pattern. So that means that the topic sentence or the main idea comes first, followed by examples or quotes, and then explanations of what those examples and quotes mean and how these support the topic sentence and the thesis. The third and last problem are support problems, and there's two types of support problems: weak or vague evidence. This is when the student uses examples, quotes, or other data that are very broad or general and really don't say anything. So if we see what's highlighted on the left here, we see that this is a very general and vague quote. The artists who are homeless, this is a big problem. It doesn't really specify anything that is too detailed. And also here, a small number of arts members, a small portion, a few contribute. It doesn't really give us the numbers. So what we want to do is, any type of evidence that we put in our paragraphs, we want them to be very, very specific, very numerical. The examples, we want them to be very, very detailed. Otherwise, our support is weak. So we want to always make sure that we use examples that are very specific, as in this case. Last but not least, the second type of structural problem is irrelevant evidence. In irrelevant evidence, what happens is that the quote or the example or whatever piece of detail or data that is being used in the paragraph has nothing to do with the topic sentence or the thesis of the essay. Here we have an example. We have the main idea or the topic sentence about the artist movement and the welfare of the communities that the artists serve. We have a quote here that says 67% of the members of this arts movement are women. But again, the topic sentence wasn't about women in this art movement. It was about how artists give back to their communities. We want the evidence to directly relate to the topic sentence. So we want to make sure that we have that, and we grab evidence from our sources that have everything to do with what we're talking about. We have to first understand what our topic sentence is and where we want to go with the paragraph before hunting for evidence that is going to support our paragraph. So this is the end of the body paragraphs video. If you have any questions, please email me via D2L.